Okay, to make a GIF in Photoshop, the first step is converting the clip itself. Ideally, your sources are going to be 1080p above so that it remains high quality post-resizing. So you're going to want to go to the File menu, which is the first option up in the toolbar over here, and hover over Import, and click on Video Frames to Layers. Select whatever clip you want to use and trim accordingly until you have the specific region you want to convert into a GIF. Over here, select in range only, and click Limit to every 2 frames. This is mostly for optimization's sake. Tumblr doesn't upload GIFs above 10 MB, and it's ideal to keep it even lower so that they play smoothly. You basically lose nothing with 2 frames, so do that, and if it isn't checked by default, click Make Frame Animation over here. And now that you're in the editing menu itself, you can now start to resize. The 5th option over here is the cropping tool, and you're going to want to use this to crop whatever region you want to focus on. And once you're done with this, let's just do it really quickly right now. There we go. And so now you're done with this, you can now decide what resolution you want your GIF to be. For Tumblr formatting's sake, if you want 1 GIF per row on your posts, it has to be 540 pixels. If you want 2 GIFs per row, it has to be 268. And if you want 3, it has to be 177 pixels, 178 pixels, 177 pixels respectively. This is all width-wise. Height doesn't matter. This is a matter of optimization. The lower the resolution, the lower the size. And once you're done with that, which you do by going over here to Image, and going over to Image Size, over here it's already automatically linked to the height, so you don't have to do anything over there. So now it's significantly lower quality and smaller. Once you've decided on that, you go over to the timeline. Over here is the timeline. There's 3 bars, or these little 3 lines over here, and you're gonna want to select all frames. I can't do that right now because for some reason it's selecting something else. Select all frames, and then you go over here to Other, and then set the frame delay to 0.05 seconds, not 0.5, 0.05. This is the standard for most GIFs on Tumblr and the most naturalistic without being laggy. Now, to actually be able to edit a GIF visually, which will come in later, you're going to want to click these 3 buttons below the timeline to convert to video. Well, it's not 3 buttons over here, but this 3 lines over here next to this thing that says forever. And you'll have these, which are like editing a video, and this is basically so that you can play all of this as a frame. Don't reconvert this into a frame animation at any point. This will freeze the GIF. So you go over up here to the toolbar again, and then click All Layers in the Select menu. All Layers, and then you are going to want to go to Layer, and then go over here to Smart Objects and convert to Smart Objects. This makes it so each layer is grouped in and you can edit them all at the same time. And that basically concludes the converting part of GIF making. Once you've figured out how to do that, you can usually just leave the process to an action, which is what this is. Actions are basically Photoshop's way of automating a process. You can make them by adding a new action, this button over here, and then doing all the steps I listed out. To do that, to show this off, let's go to Video Frames Layer again. Just have another thing of like the region stuff over here. This isn't going to be perfect just because this is the cropping isn't the same. But here is my default action. I basically just play this button, and it does all the things I listed a while ago. Automates all of that, so now I don't have to do the first few minutes of all of this over and over again. Everything past what I've just explained is largely up to preference, but I'll detail how I edit my GIFs visually as a starting point. You're going to notice that the GIF looks significantly worse due to resizing, and to remedy this, I'm going to go over here to the filter menu, selecting the layer over here. If that doesn't show up, ignore that layer style thing. I'm going to go over here to filter, and I'm going to go down here to sharpen. And I usually pick Smart Sharpen because this is the sharpening that allows you to edit the radius and the noise reduction. I usually keep the noise reduction to a minimum. So let's keep this around the middle. just so this offers a lot more contrast and sharpness to the lines, as opposed to how it was a while ago, where it's all blurring into each other. And I usually do a second pass of this, just for clarity. I usually up the noise over here, make it a lot lighter than it is. Somewhere around that's fine. Let's reduce the radius, because it's doing a lot more bleeding over here. So here's the GIF after editing and before. After and before. You're going to notice that the GIF is, well, it's still in shit quality. So to make up for that, I usually add a layer from noise to distract from the compression. And you do that by going over here to filter again, noise, add noise, and 1 to 2% noise is ideal. Anything past that is distracting, so let's go to 13, and it's basically just all noise. Under 10 is still passable if you have a significantly low quality GIF, but I usually pick around, let's stick it at 1.50 might be, there we go. So let's play that. And before, after, before, after. Now let's go over to brightness and contrast, just the first thing over here, just because it still looks a little dull. And this is, I'm basically illiterate in photo editing lingo. I'm not going to be able to explain this in any meaningful way. Just do it until just fuss around until it feels right for you. And if that's not working, well, I usually go over here to, where is it? I usually go over here to exposure. Makes a lot of the things brighter. And the offset helps with, editing the offset helps a lot with the contrast. I usually keep the exposure to a minimum, a little bit above the regular, but that makes everything a little more clearer. You're gonna notice the longer you look at this, the seal is really green. So I'm gonna fuss over with selective color, and you have a wide range of colors over here. And noticing the undertones are all green and yellows, I'm going to mess around with this until it's significantly less yellow than I want it to be. So let's make that a lot more yellow. And go over here to yellows. And then lessen the yellow over there. Again, I can't really explain my process on this just because I am largely illiterate when it comes to photo editing stuff. Do it until it feels right, basically. Once you're satisfied with your GIF, go over to File again. On Export, over here, you're going to see Save to Web Legacy. And now you're led over to this menu. This is the Save to Web Legacy menu, just for reference. I leave most of this untouched, just because I'm not familiar with what it means, but I usually don't notice anything of significance when I post. You're going to want to check that this is set to GIF and that this isn't set to once, because if it's set to once, it's going to load once on the website and never play again unless you refresh it. Save that, don't press done, save, because nothing happens when you press done. And you'll see I have my first passes of GIFs over here. Let's put this seal final. Save that, and that's basically it. Hope this makes sense, that it makes GIF making Photoshop significantly less confusing. This program kind of sucks and it's hard to navigate it on the first run especially. Let's pull this open, just to make sure that it works. And there's the seal GIF. Woohoo! That's all.